Joining us now, Christian Brown. He and his family were in a cabin near the Guadalupe River as the flooding started, fast and furious. They barely managed to escape. Christian, you and I were texting briefly earlier. I know you've got a lot going on. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. First of all, I just want to check, are you and your family safe now? Was anyone hurt physically, and how are you all doing?
Thank you. We're all good. We were able to get out safely. We were able to manage through the flood without any problems, at least physically. But we were able to evacuate as well. We're back home at our home in Houston right now.
So I want to ask you, did you get any kind of warning before the water started rising? Were all of you asleep? How did this all start?
We were asleep. I did get a flash flood warning on my phone, but to be honest, I kind of ignored it because we're about 35 feet above the river at that point. And in the history of the cabin that we've been staying there, it's been in my family for about 75 years. The water has never gotten above about 6 or 8 feet higher than the river. And again, so thinking that we're about 30 feet above, we were safe. And I knew that a flash flood was serious for, other people, but people closer to the river, kind of in the same elevation. But like I said, because we were so much higher, I assumed that we were safe.
I mean, 75 years, if you've been safe so far, I probably would have thought the same thing. Can you talk to me about who was with you in the cabin, your family members, and how you managed to escape? I hear it was a pretty harrowing situation. Have you ever experienced anything like this before?
This is a first for me. My wife and I were in one bedroom, and our two daughters were in another bedroom. As we kind of laid in bed listening to the thunder and lightning, I would go out and I'd look at the river and I'd check the dock and I'd make sure we've got a concrete dock that's at the river level. And as long as I could still, between lightning flashes, if I could see the dock, I knew that the river wasn't rising and we were safe. And so a couple times during the night, I'd check it and I'd still see the dock. So I thought we were safe, and I convinced my wife that we were safe. And then we were laying in bed probably around 3:30 a.m. and we heard a different kind of noise. It was a sloshing kind of crunching noise. And it was, again, something that we'd never heard before. So we jumped up, we turned on the lights, and I could see from the wooden door and the back door, water was streaming through the slats about 2 to 3 feet off the ground level. And then I turned to look at a kitchen window, floor to ceiling window, and I could see water about 3 feet above the ground, just solid water. And then a big lightning flash hit, and we could see out the window just nothing but water. Where the river used to be is just a giant ocean. So from there, we ran, we grabbed our kids. Thankfully, we had in one of the rooms is a bunk bed. So we were able to climb up on top of the bunk bed. And again, water was coming in from all the doors and windows. And eventually one of the doors gave way. Giant rush of flood came in. All the furniture, all the tables and chairs, everything's crashing, breaking. Windows are crashing. Power went out. And so we just kind of stayed on top of that bunk bed for what seemed like 30 minutes or an hour while we watched the water kind of rise up. And it got to about 4 feet. To where I was standing on the bottom bunk, and it was up, mid-thigh level for me. And we're kind of, we were next to a front door as well. And so I opened the door to see where the water was inside and out. And the current outside was so fast that we decided that, it's probably safer to stay inside and hope that the water doesn't continue to rise than try and brave it and go outside and try and climb onto the roof or something.
So you're literally all standing on this bunk bed trying to stay out of the water. What are you saying to each other? What are you saying to your kids? Were they audibly, I'm sure they were nervous. Were they expressing that to you? Can you just kind of tell us what that moment was like?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were all terrified. My kids were shaking. My wife and I were trying to keep it together, trying to keep everybody calm. At one point we started singing Amazing Grace to try and keep everyone's energy level down and stay positive.
All right, so you did. It sounds like everybody got out safely, which is, I'm so happy for you guys that you're okay. How did you manage to get out? Did the water recede enough that you felt like it was safe to go out? And then when you were out on the street, I've been talking to some of your neighbors who said it was quite a scene once you got out there with other people who'd been hit by these floods. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so we were, like I said, there's about 4+ feet of water in the house, and we were watching. We could see outside, and as soon as the water level outside started lowering, we'd open the door and let the water flow from inside out, and then the water level would rise, and so we'd close the door again, and then wait for it to go back down. And so once the water started flowing out enough, we opened the door, let all the water rush out, and then we saw some flashlights and heard voices. So my older daughter got on my back, and my younger daughter got on my wife's back, and we just kind of walked out to the street, not really knowing what to do or where to go, because we didn't have anything at that point other than what was in our pockets.
That's incredible. We're seeing here as you're speaking, we're playing some of the pictures you sent us of this cabin. You said it's been in your family for 75 years. Is anything that you had to leave behind recoverable? Are you going to try to go back at some point, or are your priorities just other places right now?
I mean, we'll definitely go back. I would say most everything in there is destroyed. There's a few hardwood pieces of furniture that we might be able to salvage, but all the appliances, most of the tables, chairs, a lot of the windows, everything was broken. Some of it may be salvageable, but probably most of it's trash.
All right, Christian Brown, thank you so much, truly, for taking the time. We're so glad that you and your family are okay.
Thank you.